All right. Uhuru, comrades, and welcome to the Black Power 96 Black Power Radio Fight Back webinar calling on you to support the lawsuit to defend the free speech rights of the Black community. My name is Akile Anai on the Community Advisory Board for Black Power 96 Radio, and I have the honor of being your MC for this evening. I want to begin this evening by recognizing and saluting the profound leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, freedom fighter for 60 years of his life, with a vision for the African working class to have its own radio capacity and ability to communicate our voice, our aims, and interests. I'd also like to salute the African People's Education and Defense Fund President, Onezene Ishitela, as the leadership over the baddest nonprofit on the planet, serving the African working class through its programs addressing the grave disparities in health, education, and economic development. Black Power 96 Radio, a project of APEDF, has come under attack, and this community radio station with a big mission is fighting back. Last year, Black Power 96.3 FM here in St. Petersburg, Florida, qualified for over $100,000 in federal COVID relief funding that is being administered by Pinellas County. The Pinellas County commissioners revoked and denied this grant money that Black Power 96 and the Black community urgently needs to purchase new equipment for our free training program and a power generator so we can stay on air during the frequent power outages in St. Petersburg. In this broadcast, we're going to bring you the full story and call on you to support Black Power 96 Radio in this fight back. You're going to see video clips that expose the political attacks carried out by the Pinellas County commissioners, denying the Black community our constitutional rights to freedom of speech and freedom of association, and awarding public tax dollars in a racially discriminatory way. We are going to hear from our station manager, Mr. Eddie Maltzby, the world's best blind DJ. We'll also hear testimony from Black Power 96 listeners and volunteers, and we'll hear from some of the talented artists who get airplay on Black Power 96 Radio while they are denied access to be heard on commercial radio, to see what they have to say about the importance of this radio station. And finally, we have a special guest, attorney Luke Leroux, Black Power 96's lawyer who has filed suit against the Pinellas County commissioners. We want to kick off this program with a dynamic performance by Donna and Shaki, the dynamic duo out of Canada, performing their hit, We Shall Not Be Moved. Following their performance, we will go ahead and move into the story behind the attacks on Black Power 96 Radio. So let's take a look at Donna and Shaki's We Shall Not Be Moved.
One source, one place, one beginning, a million races.
Alongside Shaki Ali,
Mama Africa.
me tired. Can't take it no more.
Mama Africa. We shall not be moved. We will not stand down. So much time has passed.
Ayo.
Things come back around. We shall not be moved. We will not back down. We came as kings and queens.
You hear?
But slavery slowed us down.
Lord, me tired to see the man them a drop. Me tired to see the human them just a flop, no cop. This are the truth from the top. Me heart just a beat like a rat-a-tat-tat. When me see another black man dead pan the ground, me say, Lord God, it could have been my son, no fun. We stand firm, now run. Me tired of all the hatred around, oh God.
We will not stand down. So much time has passed.
Ayo.
Things come back around. We shall not be moved. We will not back down. We came as kings and queens.
You hear?
But slavery slowed us down.
Long time ago you enslaved our bodies. You beat us with chains and hung us from the trees. You took our women, raped them endlessly. It's bad for some children you didn't want to see. Now fast forward to modern day earth scenery. You're trying to enslave us again mentally, but our spirits are strong. Strong as can be, we will always be free.
We shall not be moved. We will not stand down. So much time has passed. Things come back around.
Ayo.
We shall not be moved. We will not back down. We came as kings and queens. But slavery slowed us down.
Lord, I got 2020, we in and still feeling pain. Cause we fighting each other like Abel and Cain. How come you would think you superior to me? We all were created so equal and free. Why go do your research? We are born kings and queens. Why don't you admit you have no self-esteem? Just look at your face, look at my face. We are one human race.
We shall not be moved.
No way.
We will not stand down. So much time has passed. Things come back around.
Ayo.
We shall not be moved. We will not back down. We came as kings and queens.
You hear?
But slavery slowed us down. Don't trust standing in my shoes, trust standing in my skin. Cause I wear it loud and proud and I feel it from within. No more waiver, no more slaves here. We're gonna work it out right now.
No fun, we stand firm now run. Tired of all the hatred.
We shall not be moved. We will not stand down. So much time has passed. Things come back around.
Ayo.
We shall not be moved.
No way.
We will not back down. We came as kings and queens. But slavery slowed us down.
Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor. Lord, me never know it would have reached ya. Tammy Rice, Eric Garner. Stop killing off we brothers and we sisters. Stephon Clark, Michael Brown. It's too numerous to even mention. Tanisha Anderson, Walter Scott. Oh Lord, my God, it's tough to stop.
We shall not be moved.
Nana Makida,
We will not stand down.
Shaki Allen.
So much time has passed.
Ayo.
Things come back around. We shall not be moved. We will not back down. We came as kings and queens. But slavery slowed us down.
Sure.
Uhuru. So that was again Donna and Shaki out of Canada with We Shall Not Be Moved. And when you hear the message behind that very powerful song, you begin to understand the significance of a radio station like Black Power 96, which unapologetically plays this type of content out on the radio airwaves and empowering African people, through this message of resistance. So really want to salute Donna and Shaki for that incredible performance, that beautiful song. And as we move into the next portion of our program, I also just want to recognize some people who are watching on with us and just appreciate you taking your evening out tonight to join us in the Black Power Radio Fight Back. And I just want to shout out Sister Denise, out in the DC area, Sister Denise, and also Comrade Diane Tournay out in Gainesville, Uhuru, also Comrade Paulette out in Gainesville with the Leonard Peltier Ad Hoc Committee. Uhuru, Comrade Paulette, thank you for joining us. And I see so many of you, and I could spend the whole evening shouting you all out, but thank you so much for joining with us today. And I just wanted to just really, really appreciate you participating in, this very important webinar that is a part of the Fight Back, Black Power 96 Radio Fight Back. So we're holding this program to build support for Black Power 96's Fight Back on this specific date, November 13th, because it's the 27th anniversary of the Battle of St. Petersburg, a story of African resistance. On November 13th, 1996, more than 300 military forces surrounded this very building where Black Power 96 Radio is headquartered. This same building whose red, black, and green African flag was torched with a military-grade flamethrower on July 2nd of last year. And this same building that was raided by the FBI on July 29th of last year when they did tens of thousands of dollars in damage to the building and stole all the computers, laptops, phones, hard drives, and files they could find. On November 13th, 1996, more than 100 children, women, and men had come to the Uhuru House for our weekly community meeting, this time to discuss the failure of a grand jury to indict the police killers of 18-year-old Tyrone Lewis, an unarmed motorist who died for driving while Black. When that murder happened on October 24th, 1996, just a few blocks from the Uhuru House, the people rose up. They fought the police in hand-to-hand combat and went on to torch police stations, media vans, and predatory merchants. 3 weeks later, the decision of the grand jury to let the killer cops go free was announced, and every military agency in the area converged on the Uhuru House. They fired all the tear gas they had in St. Pete on this building, tried to set it on fire and to kill the community people inside who were just having a legal, peaceful community meeting in our own building. They used a helicopter and a small plane. This attack on November 13th was an assassination attempt on the life of Chairman Omali Yeshitela, much like the FBI and US government threats of a 15-year prison sentence are today. But the people of South St. Pete rose up, coming on bicycles from all directions with masks on their face called ghost faces and armed with rocks and weapons. They pushed back the attack. The next day, the commander was quoted in the Times as screaming into his radio, "Pull the troops back, we're under heavy fire." It was this heroic community that rose up to defend the organization and the movement that defends the people. So today, on November 13th, 2023, we're calling on you to stand up and defend Black Power 96 Radio from the vicious attacks that were made on our African community by the Pinellas County Commission when they stole over $100,000 that is owed to our community's radio station. To tell the story of the Pinellas County Commissioner's racially biased, unconstitutional stealing of the $100,000 that rightfully belongs to Black Power 96 Radio, we'll start with who and what Black Power 96 is. So this is Black Power Radio Fights Back. Support the lawsuit to defend the free speech rights of the African community. Black Power 96 Radio is a project of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, the baddest nonprofit on the planet, whose mission is to defend the human and civil rights of the African community and to end the disparities faced by African people in healthcare, education, and economic development. And we want to salute APDF's president, Onezene Yeshitela, for her bold and visionary leadership and taking the mission of APDF out into the world. Just last month, the African People's Education Defense Fund was honored and recognized by the Philadelphia City Council for defending the rights of the African community, providing affordable furniture and home goods to Philadelphians, providing jobs, job training, and volunteer opportunities through Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles, and committing all profits to supporting economic development and self-determination programs for Black communities across the country. APEDF's work has been widely recognized with funding and support from organizations such as the USDA that awarded a 3-year grant for its farmers market in St. Louis, along with private companies and foundations. The African People's Education and Defense Fund has served the Black community of St. Petersburg for 29 years with programs including a fitness gym, free HIV testing, free health fairs, an events venue and licensed kitchen, family festivals, marketplaces for neighborhood vendors, public forums, a community meeting place, a Saturday school, and backyard vegetable gardening education. In 2017, the African People's Education and Defense Fund's Black Power 96 radio went live on the FM airwaves. African workers built this station from the ground up, raising the tower and creating the broadcast studio. From its studios in the Black community of South St. Petersburg, Black Power 96.3 FM radio broadcasts music and public affairs programming produced by and for the Black community. WBPU's FM signal reaches over 100,000 residents in South St. Pete and many more listeners internationally through its website, blackpower96.org, and its mobile app, Black Power 96. Black Power 96 is a voice of the Black Power movement. This station broadcasts interviews and speeches that teach and guide our movement for African liberation. Black Power 96 speaks out against the gentrification and the destruction of our Black neighborhoods. When the city of St. Pete threatened to shut down our African vendors at the Martin Luther King parade, Black Power 96 spoke out in defense of the Black community's right to economic development. This Black community radio station helped push them back, and the African People's Education and Defense Fund provided space and entertainment on the parade route from our stage at our Tyrone Lewis community gym of our own. Black Power 96 Radio is a Pacifica Network affiliate station, sharing stories from the Black community with over 100 community radio stations around the US. The station provides free training and internships to students of all ages, preparing some for meaningful employment and careers in the broadcast and music industries. In 2021, longtime station volunteer, Mr. Eddie Maltzby, was hired on as a station manager. 100% blind, DJ Eddie has brought a far-reaching vision for professionalizing and growing Black Power 96. Mr. Eddie initiated a weekly contest called Local Going Global, where unsigned artists submit their music and listeners vote by text message for their favorite song. Black Power 96 has actually been instrumental in helping local talent to get started in the music business. Since the beginning, Black Power 96 has relied on the creative work of volunteers and the financial support of individual listener and members in local small businesses. Mr. Eddie has also organized several concerts to raise funds for the station. Some have been gospel concerts held at local churches. When COVID hit, we had to do virtual gospel concerts. During the pandemic, the station, during the pandemic, the station turned to online concerts, and Mr. Eddie was able to win award-winning artists like Gerald Alston of the Manhattans to contribute their performances. So under the direction of APDF President Onezene Shatella, the station began to apply for grants to expand the resources of the station so that it could hire more staff and upgrade its equipment. Last year, the station applied for federal COVID relief funds designated for nonprofits that suffered a negative economic impact from the pandemic. Black Power 96 applied for 2 grants in these categories. 1 grant for equipment to upgrade studio and transmitter operations, computers to expand the station's free training program, and to buy a mobile kit for remote broadcasts, and the other grant to buy and install a backup power generator to keep the station on air during South St. Pete's very frequent outages. The station's applications were ranked 4th in each category out of 55 and then 79 applicants respectively. The grant applications were evaluated by an independent review board of the nonprofit Pinellas Community Foundation, who had been hired by the Pinellas County Commission to evaluate applications. The independent reviewers recommended that Black Power 96 receive over $100,000 of the federal monies, $36,801 for station equipment and $67,327 for the backup generator. These federal COVID relief funds are being distributed through the county. On November 15, 2022, the Pinellas County Commission voted to approve the funding for all those nonprofit groups recommended by the Pinellas Community Foundation. Then on February 9th, 2023, during a report from the Pinellas County Community Foundation on the status of the distribution of COVID relief funds to local nonprofits, delivered to a work session of the County Commission, composed of 4 re-elected commissioners and 2 newly elected commissioners, including Chris Lotvilla, launched into a tirade of slander and lies against the APDF and Black Power 96. Roll clip.
Some of these groups I was not familiar with, so I looked them up. The African People's Education and Defense Fund received money for radio station equipment.
Yes.
Was that for Black Power 96 in St. Petersburg?
What radio station is that? Yeah, I think that is for their radio station.
According to their website, and that's the website of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, they're associated with the Aruhus in St. Petersburg.
Correct.
Are you familiar that the Aruhus once held a mock trial in which they sentenced the mayor and chief of police in St. Petersburg to death?
I'm not familiar with that trial, no, but I'm familiar with some of the other challenges.
That was in reporting by the Tampa Bay Times, in which they did a story about the FBI raid. The Aruhus, which is associated with this group, also support the release of all Black prisoners. Are you familiar with that?
No.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, the Aruhus have ties to anti-Semitic Black nationalist groups. So my question is, how would a group that has ties to anti-Semitic nationalist groups get approved for funding?
So they went through the funding process like other organizations. We were concerned about some of the issues that have arisen because of the FBI investigation. We had some conversation with the county about this particular application and asked questions as to whether or not some of that should be disqualifying for the organization. And the feedback that we received, especially around the FBI investigation, was that if they are not on the list of organizations that can't contract with the county, or not on the list to be barred from receiving federal funds, that they should go through and be scored in this process like every other organization.
Do you believe that they're a group or a story that should be considered something that we should be proud of, based on your earlier statements?
I think it's an organization that, based on the application that they submitted and the information that they requested and reviewed publicly by a committee, that there was belief that there would be reasonable community benefit from the allocation that they were offered.
Are political parties eligible for this funding?
No, they aren't.
Are you familiar that the Aruhus are a political party?
I'm not aware that they're a
They
political
run
party.
candidates for mayor and city council just about every cycle in St. Petersburg?
And I would say, from my understanding of this and looking at some of it, the organization is a 501c3 public charity. The IRS has not revoked the status of the African People's Education and Defense Fund, although there may be other associations in particular. The IRS has not ruled that they can't receive public contributions, or that those lack the ability to be tax deductible. That is something that we looked at as well. I think if they were doing things that were deemed inappropriate for a 501c3 public charity, their status would have been revoked by the IRS, and that's reviewed as part of our process as well.
And this is a question for Barry. On the next list that comes, do we vote on the entire list, or do we vote individually?
Well, you would vote on the entire list, but you can certainly pull off any individual request that is part of that list. So, you know, there's nothing. These are recommendations to you as a commission. If there's particular concerns you have about any group on that list, you can certainly pull off that for a separate discussion.
But we can't pull that off now, can we? Since they've already been funded.
Oh, the previous one, that was already voted on.
Okay. I think they're up for the next request too. That's all the questions I have.
They have submitted in the large capital projects fund round as well, which will come. Those recommendations from committee will come to the commission
I
correctly.
just think that, and it is not necessarily that they're a socialist group. I think that in Pinellas County, part of our values should be that we don't give tax money to anti-Semitic nationalist groups, regardless of what side of the aisle they fall on.
Are there any other questions? Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to support everything that Commissioner Latvala said.
True. So Latvala slandered the APEDF by making false accusations that this nonprofit runs candidates for office, which would be a violation of IRS rules for nonprofits. He also made false accusations that APDF is anti-Semitic and that APDF is under FBI investigation, which it is not. Ties to what's happening, in terms of the situation that's happening in the world today. And the Tampa Bay Times actually ran an article regarding the pulling of these funds based on a press conference that we had called, Black Power 96 had called right here. And, they actually investigated the allegations of anti-Semitism. But the thing that's really important for us to draw out is that, they talk about, the Anti-Defamation League and how people can be characterized as anti-Semitic, and how this has always been used to attack Black people and Black organizations to obscure a greater political question. But the thing that we should be looking at is, why isn't there any kind of defamation league when it comes to the slander of African people, when it comes to attacking the African working class and being able to, sit from a public, official seat and to be able to slander the African working class, its viewpoints, its organizations, and the work that it's trying to do to uplift itself. There's no punishment. There is, no consequence for the attacks that are made on African people, not just what's said, but what happens, the constant attacks, physical attacks being pushed out of our community, where, Latvala says the county should not uphold, the values that the Uhuru movement has. Well, the values that it does hold up is the attacks, ongoing historical attacks against Black people in the city who are being forcibly pushed out, who live in a power desert, who are economically deprived, and in every opportunity where we try to do for ourselves, governments, local, federal, state governments step in to intervene in the process of Black people being able to achieve any kind of power. And there's no kind of consequence, for that. And, the fact is that Black Power 96 articulates the voice and the resistance of the African working class. And that's its purpose, so that it can articulate its own interests. It can, exercise its own agency. And for instance, if we, wanted to say Black Power 96, free Palestine, or play a speech about free Palestine, we would be characterized as anti-Semitic. So these very subjective kind of characterizations that have always been used to attack Black people and to make people not touch, this organization or the work, of such organizations, that whole thing is absolute garbage, and it's continued slander against us, this movement, and on Black people as a whole, to be able to obscure a greater question, which is why the question as to why the Pinellas County Commission, the real question as to why the Pinellas County Commission does not want to fund an organization with a track record such as APEDF. That's the real question. So on February 14th, 2023, in a sneak maneuver, Chris Latvala introduced a motion to revoke the funding that had been granted to Black Power 96, and the Pinellas County Commission unanimously voted to revoke APDF's radio equipment grant. This issue wasn't even on the agenda, so APDF was denied due process and any ability to speak out before such a vote. It's important to note that at the same time this year, Regions Bank began placing economic sanctions on APEDF by closing down business and personal accounts with no explanation.
Okay, and number 24 is the County Commission new business, pertinent, timely committee boards, updates, and policy considerations. Let's start with Commissioner Latvala.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I actually have two items that I'd
Okay.
like to discuss. The first one is, on Thursday, we talked about the ARPA funding, and I had some questions about that. And I would like to make a motion to revoke the funding for African People's Education and Defense Fund in the amount of $36,801 for a radio station, because I do not think that we should be funding radio stations with the amount of needs that there are in our community.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Latvala and seconded by Commissioner Flowers, and now we open for discussion.
So again, you see there, this specific targeting of APEDF. And we know that $37,000 is really just a drop in the bucket in terms of even the access to the resources that they have that they were approving for different organizations. And APEDF, was singled out. So, when we look at the players here, we saw this person, Chris Latvala. And it's really important to know, these forces who are passing judgment, who are trying to define who APDF is and the work that it is that this organization does. And, but it's important for us to look at who is doing the talking here. And Chris Latvala, we have to say we know who he is. And that the Tampa Bay Times writes, 5 years after Jack Latvala, who is Chris Latvala's father, stunning fall from grace, his son joins the Pinellas County Commission as the family businesses benefit. The Times reported that in the 5 years since he resigned from the Florida Senate amid a sexual misconduct investigation, Jack Latvala has continued to influence Pinellas County politics by quietly unloading millions of dollars from his political committee to support local and state candidates and other Republican committees. Much of that money found its way to the family businesses as Chris Latvala continued his political journey from state representative to county commissioner. 9 of the groups funded by the senior Latvala's political committee paid $662,100,000 to Gulf Coast Imprinting, a campaign services company owned by Jack Latvala, with Chris Latvala as vice president. Jack Latvala's committee, meanwhile, has also paid a fixed monthly fee to Chris Latvala's consulting firm, totaling nearly $250,000 since 2017. Chris Latvala personally profits from his political position while he blocks funding from the Black community. Another person who joined in proudly with the attacks against APDF and Black Power 96 was Renee Flowers, the only Black person on the Pinellas County Commission and the commissioner who is supposed to represent the district where Black Power 96 is located. She was quick to second Latvala's motion to deny the Black community's funding. It wasn't the first time she has blocked government funds going to the Black community, and specifically to the African People's Education and Defense Fund. In 2001, while Flowers sat on the St. Petersburg City Council, the African People's Education and Defense Fund succeeded in acquiring Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, from the city for the Tyrone Lewis Community Gym. CDBG funding comes from HUD, supposedly to alleviate poverty. Instead, St. Pete had used CDBG money to destroy the Laurel Park affordable public housing for the Tropicana Field parking and to upgrade the hotel rooms of the Hilton Hotel. Community-driven organizations were never awarded these funds, but Uhuru paved the way. But as soon as the community achieved this, Renee Flowers led the charge to change the rules so that no nonprofit could receive such CDBG funding unless they had an equal amount of money on reserve in the bank. This meant that no small Black nonprofit community organization could access these funds. Several years later, the APDF was preparing to renovate the Uhuru House and to expand the size of the popular Aquava Hall events venue for family and cultural events. In order to do this, additional parking space was required. So APDF sought to purchase a city-owned vacant lot across the street. A purchase contract was approved by the city's real estate department, but Renee Flowers stepped in and argued that she had a pet project in mind to build affordable housing on that lot. She blocked the expansion of the Uhuru House Black Community Center and never built that housing. That lot remains vacant today. For several years prior to joining the Pinellas County Commission, Renee Flowers was employed as a fundraiser for a local nonprofit that applied for the same COVID relief funding and was initially funded only partially for their proposed $2.4 million renovation project. Then when BP 96 funds were singled out to be denied $67,000 for its backup power generator, those funds were added to the funding for Flowers' former employer. Just like at the federal level, Operators move from positions in private corporations to become legislators and back again, ensuring that they and their employers can benefit from tax dollars while the people are denied. And at the next commission meeting, members of the Black community and other supporters of Black Power 96 Radio spoke out to demand the restoration of the funding.
I've been a St. Pete resident for as long as I can remember. I've gone to school in Pinellas County all my life, ever since kindergarten. I went to Sexton Elementary, and then I went to Thurgood Marshall Middle School, St. Pete High, and then now I'm at St. Pete College. I've grown up here and witnessed the gentrification of my city ever since I was in middle school. Walking around, I could see things being demolished right before my eyes. Black Power 96 has been serving the Black community for over half a decade now, providing vital public service announcements, news, and culture. I'm thankful and fortunate to be offered an opportunity at the radio station. As a programmer, as a program engineer for Black Power 96. However, I'm not the first student to work at Black Power 96. A group of Gibbs High School students got their start there with a radio show called No Class. And now, my comrade Iquan works for Nielsen Media Group, which is a radio company. He's made it big, and I want to be able to do the same and see the same thing in my community. Thank you.
I'm a resident of St. Petersburg, Florida, my whole life. I'm 52 years old. I was born and raised here. There's been nobody like Black Power 96 in this city ever. Nobody has done for the community what this station does for the community. Speaking as a local artist and an author, this station, like, they took my material and they actually put it out with no hassle. They got it to the people. They got the word out to the community that I had a book that was intentionally designed for incarcerated Black men to help us overcome these obstacles. This station has, it just stood in the forefront for the Black community, and it's always been an eye-opener. It's a shame that they had to have these funds taken away from them after they have been granted, and the station really needs it, and the station can use it because it helps the community. And I just wanted to be here to voice that and to let this commission know that that money is very well needed and that money will be used to help the community because that's what they do. They help the community.
I'm the station manager for Black Power 96.3 FM. I'm 100% blind because you saw someone brought me up here. And with that being said, I was singing downtown here in St. Petersburg, born and raised here. I was singing downtown for 35 years, started out at a store called McCory's. In 2017, I heard of this station called Black Power 96.3 FM. It's about time for me to get off the streets singing for nickels and dimes. So I went to the station to see if I could be a DJ, and they allowed me to be a DJ, 100% blind, again, handicapped and disabled. They allowed me to be station assistant manager 2 years later. 2 years after that, I became manager. This station has a place in our community. It does help the minority brothers like myself and the independent working class people. I want to say also that the brother that just spoke, Elijah, said that the brother came in at 17 years old. I was there, got a show there, and began to do his show for a couple of years, and now at Nielsen Radio, which is a corporation which is one of the largest in the United States. This is vital to keep a station like this going, for people can knock on the door and come in without a dollar or a dime. Right now, our government, or your government, is in debate with student loans that are costing our United States trillions of dollars. Joe Biden wants to get rid of it. This company, Black Power 96.3 FM, and the Education Defense Fund, we want those funds back. How can you give someone something and then take it back? And I heard a pastor just came up here saying something about God. If God gave Jesus to save us and then give it back, we would all go to hell. Last, I want to say to this commission is that every time this is brought up to you, you should shamelessly hold your head. I'm 100% blind. Even a blind man can see that you have done an injustice. Even a blind man can see the cloud that is dirty holding over your head. Please remove the cloud and make what's wrong right. Thank you.
The African People's Education and Defense Fund has served the Black community of St. Petersburg for 29 years. I have been honored to provide administrative support for APDF for 25 of those years. The mission of APDF is to defend the human and civil rights of the African community and to create programs and institutions that address the grave disparities in health, education, economic development faced by African people. APDF has been self-funded since its inception in 1994. The vital community programs have included a fitness gym, free HIV testing, gardening and financial literacy workshops, marketplaces for neighborhood vendors, family festivals, public forums, and a community meeting place with an events venue. The Licensed Kitchen is a unique resource for people to build local food businesses and nonprofits to prepare food for those in need. The grant which APDF applied for and was awarded last November is called the American Rescue Plan Act Nonprofit Capital Project Fund. Billions of dollars of federal grant funds are required to be used for equipment and structures. These grants were specifically designed for capital projects such as the emergency broadcast and disability access equipment that we were approved for. The 33 other nonprofit organization grants that you approved funded items such as transport vans, truck, forklift, furniture, computers, software, surveillance systems, and dental equipment. The ARPA grant money comes from all our tax dollars, including that of the Black community. These funds do not belong to the County Commission, and the purpose cannot be changed. For all of you to suddenly say that you now want to fund people over products is clearly a cover for your attempt to illegally deny APDF funds because of our association with the Uhuru movement, which has stood up for the rights of the Black community for over 50 years. Your vote to revoke the grant on February 14th was not announced nor on a public agenda, and it's not even in the notes from the meeting. The community is outraged. This grant was awarded to APDF based on merit. Our application ranked 4th out of 55 with a 94% score. We met all the criteria. The Black community deserves these resources and is tired of broken promises, secret votes, and take-backs. We're pursuing all our options, including legal action against the Commission for violating the federal grant rules, for violating sunshine laws, as well as for slander, libel, and false accusations. Your defamatory, derogatory, and unprofessional marks will not go unchallenged. Our application for the ARPA large grant capital projects is pending. Our intent letter was rated 4th of 60. The grant is for a building generator to allow the radio station and community commercial kitchen to operate and serve the community during emergencies. You will not stop these legitimately earned grant funds from going to APDF. We will not be set back. We are continuing the work of Black Power 96 and all APDF programs that benefit, protect, and defend the Black community in St. Pete and elsewhere. African people have the right to self-determination. Thank you.
My name is Akila Anai, born and raised in St. Petersburg, Florida, and I'm the Director of Media and Communications for the Uhuru Movement. I'm here today as an outraged citizen of Pinellas County because of the recent decision by this commission to revoke the ARPA grant funds previously awarded to the APDF radio station WBPU LP 96.3 FM, or famously known as Black Power 96. This vote came days after a commission meeting where commissioners slandered the Uhuru Movement, making baseless claims and accusations. Latvala and Flowers spearheaded this attack, and the rest of the commission followed suit with the assertion that no organization affiliated with the Uhuru Movement should be considered for funding. The Uhuru Movement, founded and led by Omali Yeshitela, has served the historically oppressed and impoverished Black community for over 5 decades, creating programs, institutions, and campaigns that defend the democratic rights of Black people. This commission cannot say the same. When our people were in need of a community center, a health and wellness program, free HIV testing, youth sports and other recreation, cultural centers, educational institutions, the Uhuru Movement provided them. It has been this movement that has fought long and hard for genuine economic development and reparations to our community, something that at every turn the government has worked to intervene and put a stop to. The Uhuru Movement took to the streets to win Black people to participate in the electoral process, registering first-time voters and even shuttling them to the polls. It has been this movement that has had the courage to stand up to expose the status quo and its agenda to keep the Black community oppressed and exploited.
It was our organization who didn't join in with the slander of our community when the police killed Tyron Lewis in 1996, a killing no different than that of George Floyd in 2020 or Tyree Nichols in January of this year. We organized the people to exercise their rights to freedom of speech and assembly, to oppose these murders and the violence imposed on our people. I'm here to say that the Commission's decision to take these resources away from APDF and Black Power 96 radio is purely politically motivated. It has nothing to do with whether or not they believe a radio is of necessity. This is clearly an infringement upon the rights of Black people as presumed citizens of the U.S. The fact is we have a different opinion and we're unafraid to express it, and because of this, we are being punished. We don't have and have never agreed with Flowers or Lotvilla's dynasty or anyone else that has ever stood in the way of Black people being able to achieve political and economic power over our lives. But whether or not Flowers, Lotvilla, and the rest of this commission likes the Uhuru movement is not what the grant was about. Those funds do not belong to any of the commissioners. They belong to the people. If democracy is under attack in this country, the Pinellas County Commission should be held responsible for attacking and criminalizing Black people for exercising our rights to freedom of speech, freedom of association, and assembly. I want to further assert that this attack on a platform that gives rise to Black voices, stories, businesses, and culture is no different than that which is being made by Ron DeSantis on Black history and education, which we know some of the commissioners on here support. It's an attack we will not stand for. We demand these resources be re-awarded back to this radio station and for this commission to halt its slanderous attacks on the Uhuru movement, APDF, and the entire Black community. Thank you.
So you heard it from the people themselves, and the commissioners didn't even respond, to the people, but they were exposed to the people as servants of the developers with no concern or accountability to the people. So I just want to continue to go forward and, just note that we know the real reason why the commissioners voted down or revoked these funds from Black Power 96 radio. We have no confusion. It's not about any of the excuses, explanation, or even, any of the reasonings that they gave after the fact, after they slandered the Uhuru movement. We know why. And on June 13, 2023, the Pinellas County Commission voted to single out Black Power 96 from the foundation's list of recommendations to again deny the funding. And this is an attack, a direct attack, an intentional attack on Black self-determination. Our suit is based on the attack on our constitutional rights to free speech. And they can't find anything that APDF has ever done, to justify the claims in which they've made, against this movement. It's all been things that, we have said. All the things are attacking free speech, things that we say, not attacks that we make on the people, no robbery, no kind of crimes, committed in this way. It's all been based on things that we've said and or things that the Uhuru movement through its various organizations have said, which is, it would require the right of free speech, our constitutional right of free speech to be able to say these things, to make these criticisms. And this is the basis for, it's a political attack. It's the basis for the denial of these grant resources. And it's a political attack. It's an attack on the ability for the Black community to be self-determining, to have the kind of economic development and economic reliance, self-reliance that we need to be able to thrive, as a people. And this is why it's coupled with all the other economic attacks that have been made on APDF since the July 29, 2022 attacks on the Uhuru movement. So we are very clear, and you all should be very clear tonight about why, the Pinellas County Commission has revoked these resources, not based on any explanation that they've given up to now, but based on a whole political history of attacking Black people, attacking this community, and standing in the way of Black people being free and self-determining. So, this is what we are clear on, and we're going to go ahead and conclude this section. We've told the story, and I am very excited to bring up this next guest. Our attorney on October 20th, Luke Leroux, on behalf of the African People's Education and Defense Fund and Black Power 96, filed a federal lawsuit in the United States District Court, Middle District of Florida, Tampa Division, charging the Pinellas County Commission with violating the Black community's right to freedom of speech and freedom of association, and with racial discrimination. So again, my honor to bring up attorney Luke Leroux to the stage. Crew.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here.
And so we're going to have you talk about the lawsuit that has just been filed against the county commission. And, I'm going to just ask you a couple of questions, just about this. So First, it's been a pleasure working with you. You are not an average attorney by far. And you know that you have a real, passion and determination. Even spoke out at the Pinellas County Commission. I would, again, and also a pleasure working with your team. And I know that we have some members of your team right here in the room today. So to prepare this lawsuit, and again, because of your enthusiasm and commitment to our cause. So what has drawn you or excited you about this case?
Well, the first thing that got me interested in this case was when I got a call that said after the first application had been given to the APEDF, that they decided with no notice whatsoever to rescind that. And that's what shocked me. I thought you at least should give people notice if you're going to change your position or you're going to try to rescind a grant that you've already evaluated and that you've already given somebody. You have to give them notice. That's the fundamental nature of due process. If somebody has a right or a possession and the government wants to take it away, they got to give you notice and an opportunity to be heard. And when I saw what had happened and actually did some research to see how it had taken place, the fact that there was no notice, nothing, not even but a reference to new business, yet they still took action on it, I was outraged. And then it just picked up momentum from there because I knew about the second application. And at that point, it was clear to me that politics had taken hold over something that should have been a very neutral, content neutral application process, that when the politicians got a hold of it, they contaminated the entire thing. And I mean, I looked at the applications that were submitted. They were outstanding. They addressed every single necessary aspect of the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA. It's not the county's money. It's from the federal government. And it was designed to assist nonprofits that had suffered because during COVID, not only did people have all of the other adverse consequences of COVID, but nonprofits suffered more than anyone. People weren't donating money. It was a complete annihilation of the good work that nonprofits do, such as the APEDF. And the work that they do, I looked into that. It's astonishing. It's such a benefit to the community. And I just felt that from my background with the First Amendment, I felt that it was the least I could do to step in and try to help out.
Right on. Well, we thank you so much, Luke, for again jumping on this, the enthusiasm that you brought in, just an immediate recognition of a violation of, the constitutional rights of the Black community and this station and this nonprofit to be able to carry out the work that it does. And you're right. I mean, there was no content requirement, for the application. None of the other organizations singled out for what they believe in. Only APDF was. So, that's absolutely right. Red flag. So can you elaborate on the legal concepts or precedents that are important to this case?
Well, I think the ones that are important are the ones that you really highlighted in the earlier presentation, which is absolutely outstanding. It was thorough. It was precise. The issue here is that the government, if it's going to be considering the delivery of some benefit, it has to do so in a content neutral and overwhelmingly fair fashion. You can't say, well, I don't like your politics. I don't like your message. That's not even an option for the government. They have to look at basically the criteria, which APEDF met in stellar fashion. And then they have to say, okay, you deserve this and this is why you get it. But in this instance, it was just so abundantly obvious that not only was it not dealing with the APEDF, it was with somebody that they felt you were associated with that had a different political viewpoint, or that through some rumor or innuendo was anti-Semitic or did this or did that. I mean, it wasn't even a specific reason. And I think if you look at the messages from the excerpts from the hearings, they don't even have a good reason. It's like, I'm going to move because of what? That's it. That's the reason you think that's very laudable, very deserving group doesn't get this much needed money to do their job. It was just an outrage. So from a basic standpoint, the way that the lawsuit is laid out, you identify the parties. I gave a very clear description of all the work that APEDF had done. Obviously, you name the county because they're the governmental entity that had the responsibility not to give APEDF their money, but the ARPA money that didn't come from the county, which they try to throw off and, say, well, this is tax dollars. This is not anything to do with the county. This is money that was given to them by the federal government. Yet they still decide that they're going to punish APEDF because of some very, very vague connections that they don't like. That's content-based, and I just thought that was inappropriate. So from the outset, the first count that we raise is that this is a violation of your First Amendment rights. As a nonprofit, obviously there's some limitations on that, but you can believe what you want to believe. They don't have the right to tell you what to believe. And they definitely don't have the right to tell you that if what you believe is different than that they believe, they can punish you for it.
Right.
Not an option for them.
Right.
The second aspect of it was association. If you want to associate with any group, it could be any group that you want, but they felt that the group that they thought you were associated with had some kind of negative impact, and there was an ongoing criminal investigation. You know, you're still innocent until proven guilty. And that case certainly has some unique political dimensions to it, but it's not APEDF. It's a different group.
Yeah.
And to go through all that, we raised that as well as what we thought was a very clear racially discriminatory basis.
Yeah.
So we've asked for an injunction. We're next going to ask the county that the court should freeze this money so they don't give it all away and say, well, gee, we don't have it anymore. We gave it away. In that instance, I think the county would still be responsible for it. But what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get the court to freeze that and put a hold on it so that the money is there while we continue our fight. And then we're just going to ask for a preliminary injunction. I think that this is so clear cut that we have such an unbelievably clear likelihood of success. There's no doubt that this is discriminatory, that there are constitutional violations that absolutely fall within the process of giving us the right to seek the remedy that we want from the court. They've caused us irreparable harm. They've taken money away from this very, very excellent organization. And I think it's in the public interest to basically tell the county, you can't violate people's constitutional rights in this fashion without having to make up for that. And we expect the court to understand our arguments. Some of them are so clear that it just shocks the conscience that the county would even do such a thing. But I felt it would be a privilege to certainly stand up for the Constitution, which I took an oath to do many, many years ago. And it's my privilege to do so for the APEDF.
Right on. Thank you so much, Luke. And this is our last question, and really appreciate, what you just said. In terms of just acknowledging and revealing, that we have a responsibility to struggle against what the commission is doing, the precedent that it sets, to say that, it can come in and intervene in any kind of way, based off if they don't like, what somebody says or does. And, if they open the door on an attacks on this organization, there's no telling what they can do, subsequent. So this is really important. And it's a fight back that, again, is saying you will not be able to do this. You won't get away with this, and you won't get away with it in the future. So what we are hearing from the county, and what are we hearing from the county, and what are the next steps going forward? In this case, you've mentioned the injunction, if there's anything else, and also a timeline, any kind of timeline that we should anticipate.
Well, right now, the county has just retained a private law firm out of Fort Lauderdale, excellent lawyers. I'm familiar with the firm. And they decided that they're going to spend their tax dollars to find somebody outside of the county to try to represent the county. I was a little surprised by that, but that's their option. And knowing this firm, I expect them to do everything they can for their client, the county. But I also think that they're ethically driven, and I think that they'll play by the rules just as I intend to do. The next step, obviously, will be we'll file a motion for what's called a temporary restraining order, which means we want to make sure the county doesn't give away all the money without having the court tell them, well, there's merit to this case. We want you to freeze this money so that, assuming that we are the prevailing party, that money's there for us to use for the incredibly good purposes that we identified in the application. Then we're also going to ask for a preliminary injunction. Now, what that means is that we want the court essentially to advance a determination on this case right out of the box. We want them to say what the county did was so absolutely unbelievably unconstitutional that there's enough here for us to immediately grant a preliminary injunction. If they don't, then we have discovery to take. We can certainly take the depositions of the people that came out with what we consider the slanderous statements. Where did you get that? Who did the research that you relied on? What did you do to verify any of this information? Because quite honestly, in the public records request that we made, before we filed the lawsuit, which is one of the reasons it took us so long to get everything together, we had to get all the documents and, not just, although we did have certainly the transcripts and the footage from the hearings, we wanted to get every single communication that they had. Where did you get any basis to say what you said? And we got that, and we went through it. And I thought there would be something there. There's not much there. So it's just a shock to see what steps they would take to deprive such a valuable, wonderful organization that assists the community to the extent that the APEDF does. I was just astonished by that. So that's where we go. We do discovery, we take depositions, we ask questions under oath. And quite honestly, I don't anticipate that we're going to get a very, very clear explanation as to why the county did any of this.
Yeah. Well, I know that if we don't get an explanation from them, we can pretty, much sum it up and, provide an explanation just based off of all the evidence, that we've just even discussed in this meeting. And again, I really appreciate, Luke, you being on board. I can't think of a better person, to defend APDF and Black Power 96. In this fight back. And, I'm extremely confident, you said they've got a good lawyer. Well, we've got the best lawyer to do this for us. And, this is a very important part, of this whole fight back. And I, as you mentioned, just the attacks on Free Speech Association for APDF and Black Power 96 radio. And it's similar to, if not, the same with regard to the attacks being made on, Chairman Amalia Chattel and the African People's Socialist Party. So none of this is a coincidence. And, we have to look at all of the context, and as we struggle in. I just know that there are people right now who also really appreciate, your participation and are really, and was really looking forward to, you being able to talk about the legal aspect of this. So as we go forward, I know that, we'll continue to let the people know where we are advancing in this process. And just before we wrap, any final remarks for this program tonight?
Well, all I can tell you is that I consider it a privilege. I know that the work that you do for the community is very valuable, and nothing should stand in the way of you going through the processes to give to this community what you've worked so hard to give to the community and have done so for so long. So it's a privilege to see you do your good work, and it's a privilege to try to help you complete and continue that good work.
Yes, and we are going to continue, and we will not be stopped. As Donna and Shaki said, we shall not be moved. So thank you so much, Attorney Luke, and to your team for, again, your contribution to this incredible fight back that we are waging. And like I said, I am confident in our victory. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
My privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to transition now, and I want to let you know that this is part of the fight back, the legal aspect, but there is a role that you can play in, making sure that this campaign is successful. And that's the part of the program that we're going to transition in tonight. How can you participate in this process? How can you ensure and support Black Power 96 in this fight against the Pinellas County Commission and making sure that APDF gets these $100,000 in resources that are owed, to this organization and to the Black community overall? So to bring us through that process, I want to welcome up Comrade Sandy and also Comrade Mariah, who are volunteers with Black Power 96 Radio, playing multiple roles, and Comrade Sandy, who plays multiple roles inside the station as a station aficionado, expert, and engineer, and all of these things. And Comrade Mariah, who joined us on the the Black Power 96 volunteer staff, and is helping us to shape our social media and promotions work. So Huru, and also both of these courageous comrades who spoke virtually on Zoom at the Pinellas County Commission meetings to just voice, their discontent with this decision. So I want to welcome these comrades. Thank you so much for joining us. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Uhuru, and just salute to the leadership of Chairman Amalia Chatella, the brilliant leadership of Board President Onizane Chatella, to you, Director Akile, and also to Luke LaRoe and his team to Ben and Rachel and Krista. And, I know that Attorney LaRoe has won many very important, successful free speech cases. So it is very exciting that he has come forward to represent the African People's Education and Defense Fund and the Black Power 96. So it is an honor to participate in this program tonight and with the Black Power 96 project, along with Mariah, who has taken on the challenge of building Black Power 96's social media presence and is such a great presence in this work. We want to call on anyone seeing this broadcast to make your voice heard in support of this legal fight back so that Black Power Radio can receive the funding that it deserves and to set a precedent where such funding cannot be withheld. based on the views or opinions of the qualified nonprofit organizations. I've been told that one of the community members who is going to just say something about why she supports Black Power 96 is in the studio and with her kids and can't, and we're running a little bit behind, and we wanted to let her come up and make her testimonial before we went into the rest of our presentation around how everyone who is watching can participate and support. Did you, it's Consuela, who is a business owner for something like 20 years in St. Pete, a very talented hairstylist, wife of Alan Perry and Dolly Boy, who is a very powerful artist and rapper. Did you want to bring Consuela on now, or shall we go ahead with our other? There, is that Consuela? All right, Consuela.
Hello. How everybody doing this evening?
Great.
Hello.
So glad you can join us. What do you think about Black Power 96, and what does it mean to you?
What I think about Black Power 96 is what it stands for: Black Power, for the people, by the people. And this radio station is a huge impact on the community. For the things that they do, they're not just speaking it, talking it, they're moving it, they're making things happen. And it's very impactful and very powerful. So just to see the things that they have done thus far is very touching. They have been a very inspiration into my life, me and my husband, within the community, and just giving back support with our nonprofit and just the different things I've seen them have done over in the community. It's which excellent. The only radio station that I know of, and I have some involvement with few radio stations, but as small but very powerful.
Well, thank you so much. We just really appreciate you coming on, and we hope that everyone who is watching and listening, will agree with you and decide to make a contribution today. Is there anything that you want to share in terms of what you're doing, what you have going on, what Dolly Boy has going on? Please do that.
Yes, one thing I would say, like for instance, we have a youth event, which we just started we've been started our youth organization, which is called the Real Youth Alliance. And we are having our first economic empowered convention this Saturday, November 18th. And just to say what the Uhuru has done, Black Power, everything about this organization, we will be preparing our food right here at the home office at the base. And who's doing stuff like that? Who's really giving back and supporting what we're doing in the community? Because a lot of times we say we want to do things to make things happen for the community, but nobody's really doing it. People get rally up, they get with these cliques and different things and get money to fund their own purpose, but it's not for the community. And what I can say, the things that has happened for us this far, being a part of this movement, it's been a very impact and helpful for us. We'll be, like I said, preparing our food Saturday morning to be able to feed 50 kids, where we'll be giving them a financial literacy. We'll be making sure that they understand what it is to be prepared for life itself, especially the different things that goes on that hinders our community. We already know what a lot of things is taking place. Families are losing their homes, financial income, different things that's going on. We want to help prepare our youth to understand what society has bringing upon us and what you can do to navigate through it. So we will have a source of resources and information to help our youth to understand what they need to navigate through life.
Well, that's what Black Power 96 is all about. Do you want to just let people know how they can get in touch with you?
Yes, we could be reached at our Real Youth Alliance, and we could be contacted at 727-851-2781. We are taking donations, sponsorships, where our children, which This is what's a surprise for the youth. A lot of them don't know this, but we're going to be sowing a seed into our youth. We're not just going to give them the information, the education. We're going to show them what we're standing for and what we're meaning. So each child, 50 kids, will get a stipend. Whether we get support from the community or not, it's going to happen. We're going to make sure each child walk away with ability to start their accounts if they don't have one, add savings to their account if they have one, but also teach them how to invest to make sure that they understand what life is all about. So we
Well,
can.
thank you so much. Thank you
Yes,
so
ma'am.
much, Consuela.
And I can
And
have
everyone
that
who-
dropped into the chat or whatever, for people if they want to support. But I would stand here to say, I would love to see each live viewer, listener, anywhere, anyone to support Black Power and the movement, the Uhuru movement, everything that they stand for. I already know we spend money all the time on nothing. Let's spend our money on something that's going to make a difference for our people.
Well, thank you so much again. And this is the community that is served by Black Power 96, and it's just an honor to be a part of that. So thank you, Consuelo. We want to go ahead and return to our PowerPoint, where our slides, where we just want to be able to show people what we are. We have a goal tonight to raise $2,000 for the legal expenses. We just heard from the attorney, Luke LaRoe, who's pressing this case with the Pinellas County Commission to force them to give the Black community what is owed. And so we have a goal of raising $2,000 tonight towards legal expenses. And there's ways that you can donate. You can go online at blackpower96.org/donate. You can also donate via Cash App. Send to $sign Black Power 96. You can write checks to Black Power 96 and mail them to 1245 18th Avenue South. It's all up on the screen there, St. Pete, 33705. Or if you're watching from the St. Pete Bay Area, stop by the station and bring your donation. And a lot of people do that in the community. And please let us know in the chat or whatever platform you're viewing from how much you are donating so that we can thank you. And if you can't do it right now, but you want to make a pledge to donate at an upcoming date, let us know that too, and how we can reach you to follow up. So I want to welcome Mariah, who we have already sung her praises. And yeah, Mariah.
Hello, everyone. This is Mariah. Of course, I wanted to just share a little bit about why I started volunteering for Black Power 96. I stumbled upon Black Power 96 online, and just the energy, the message, and the community focus immediately, that's what resonated with me. And I've always believed in the power of community-driven initiatives, and Black Power 96 it's just not just a radio station. I look at it as like a platform amplifying our Black voices, our stories, and just the culture all over there. Volunteering here, I've had the chance to be a part of something that's even bigger than myself. That's what I always say. It's just not about the radio, and it's not about the empowerment and it's education and the unity. It's all of it there, and the sense of purpose is just incredible here. And from just the producing the shows to organizing events, just every task contributes to a powerful message and movement. And that's just something that I'm so excited to be a part of here. And the connections I made within the community has been just almost, I could say, life-changing. It's inspiring to see some of the people come together and just really uplifting each other. And volunteering for the Black Power 96 isn't just a choice. It's actually, I feel like it's a calling, and it's about the creating a positive change and being a part of a movement that really celebrates Black excellence. And I'm just proud to be a part of that. And remember, when you donate to Black Power 96 today, you are supporting Black Power 96 radio station manager, Mr. Eddie Maltsby Jr., and his right to express his opinions and to bring the issues facing the Black community onto the airwaves. And just kind of going on a little bit, we're familiar with DJ Eddie, and Mr. Eddie is just 100% blind and is a shining example of the opportunities created in the institutions of African People's Education Defense Fund for anyone in the Black community to rise to their full potential. And the Pinellas County commissioners don't want a blind working class Black man to succeed. They don't want to see the Black community succeed and thrive, because then they can't make money off of high rents, developer kickbacks, and helping their bosses to get rich off of the stolen labor of African workers who keep in a desperate situation. So we just ask you now to donate to blackpower96.org to fund this lawsuit that is defending station manager Eddie Mossby and the Black community's right to freedom of speech and freedom of association.
Yes, and when you donate to Black Power 96 today, you're also raising your voice to defend Black people's right to speak out against gentrification and the destruction of this proud and once thriving African community. You know, in St. Pete, if you're not familiar, they destroyed the Black community known as the gas plant area to build a sports stadium. They hated dome that some call the tomb. And today it continues on where Black families are being driven out to make room for high rises. So, you know, donating to Black Power 96 and helping to fund this lawsuit is a part of pushing back that gentrification.
Okay. During the hurricane season, Black Power 96 broadcasts critical preparedness tips along with up-to-the-minute news on shelter and transportation. The station was lucky to retain power during Hurricane Irma in 2017, but lost power during Hurricanes Ian in 2022 and Idalia in 2023. During Florida's frequent storms, hyperlocal news updates can make the difference between life or death. And yet, the Pinellas County Commission really wants to deprive the Black community the basic resources to keep our community informed. When you donate today, you support the lawsuit that will force them to do the right thing and restore this funding that is owed to the Black community. And just want to kind of touch bases again that much of the volunteer work that I do at the Black Power Radio involves promoting the artists who win the station's local going global contest. And when you donate to Black Power 96 Legal Fund today, you are supporting the ability of the talented artists in our community to get airtime and build their careers. We're going to hear now from some of the artists who have lent their support to Black Power 96.
Gerald Austin, this performer has been performing for many, many years, and two-time Grammy winner and inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with David and Troy and the Manhattans. And Gerald, hang out with us, okay?
You got it.
Why do you think people that are watching everywhere should donate to Black Power?
You know something? I think they should donate because first of all, it's a positive organization. You're about being and doing and helping our community, you know, and it's very important that we support each other. Business-wise, organization-wise, foundation-wise, we should support our own, you know, because in supporting our own, we can grow. And that's something that's very, very, very important.
That's Gerald Austin, two-time Grammy winner and inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Go to blackpower96.org/donate. That's blackpower96.org/donate, or use our Cash App at $BlackPower96. I want to ask you, why do you support Black Power?
Oh, oh man, that's one of those questions that has got so many answers that was just thrown at me like all of a sudden, you know.
Why do you think people should support Black Power yourself?
You guys support Black artists. You support your community. You know, you give. You know, the people are genuine. I've met most of you guys. You know, it's not just something that you put together or where you're trying to make a couple of dollars. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen facilities and everything. It's geared around helping the people grow and giving us a place where we can find support. And that's just not musically, you know, that's food, clothing, shelter, exposure. You're there for them, you know, standing up for the rights of the people. And, you know, on all platforms, politics and just you're fighting to help African people get their fair share, you know, and that's something that I support, and that's something that's a true reason why I feel most people should support you guys. Definitely. I love y'all.
Yes, this radio station here has been a very big inspiration in my life. I didn't even know it existed until I had heard one of my friends release one of their CDs on there, and he was telling me about it. And that's Derek the Change Man Smith. And he had told me about, whenever you get a chance to get your music together and stuff, go see Blind Eddie, go talk to him. And he's on blackpower96.org. And I was like, okay, I'll try it. But I tell you, ever since I have met you, Eddie, and have listened to my music on this radio station, I didn't know it was so broad. It is all over the world, and it has really been big for me. It has encouraged me to keep going. It has encouraged me to never give up, no matter what I'm going through. We sisters and brothers in the vision world. You understand what I'm saying? And this has really taught me that there is nothing too hard for God. There is nothing too hard for us to continue to fight and live for our goals and, our visions. And with Black Power 96.3 FM radio station has really, really catapulted my career. And I thank God for y'all. Y'all have really been a blessing to me. And in order for it to continue to bless others, we got to keep y'all on the air.
Thank y'all so much. I want to say this before I go up out of here. Thank y'all so much. Florida has got me in, taken me in, showed me so much love. I love you guys for that radio station. Y'all keep playing my music. I do love that. Thank you so much. I can't say it enough.
Yeah, and if you could tell us, why you support and why people should support Black Power 96 Radio, we want to hear from you.
Oh, back to DJ Eddie. He is amazing. When it comes to helping, when it comes to sources, he's the one to reach out to. This station needs to be on the air, period, because you play great music, you help the community all the time, and you do things for the independent artists. This artist is out here that has great talent that's being overlooked. So by you playing there, giving them a chance to be heard and playing their music on air and reaching lots more people, that's a blessing itself, because that music can come across someone else's hand, and there it is. So you can make someone famous one day. So that's really, really a blessing, and that's why you guys need to stay on air, because you do awesome things for the community.
Black Power Radio with Eddie Mosby Jr. My name is Eddie Lee Mosby Sr. For many years, I was the manager of the Florida Spiritual Labs, a group we started out in 1962. And we traveled all over the country, doing such songs as If I Could Hear My Mother Pray Again, All of These Years, Where Have the Missionaries Gone, and many, many more. We traveled north, south, east, and west, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi, California, all over the country, singing God praises. I am so proud of my son, Eddie Mosby Jr.
Y'all gave me an outlet when certain DJs wouldn't play me, and I was #1 on y'all radio station for a couple weeks with Heather Marie with Like That, and y'all supported me with open arms like family. And if I get missing or something or whatever, y'all always find a way to contact me, either kind of way. I don't know, if I get gone or something, y'all be like, come back. Eddie will call me, or somebody from the camp at down there where y'all at be calling me like, where you at, Coco? Come get your awards. So I really appreciate that my work get appreciated from y'all, and thank y'all for opening doors for me.
But if I could, just one shout out for you guys at blackpowerradio.org, and I'm going to ask everyone there to help me congratulating you guys for hosting this event to unify the African community, and for the self-determination of the African community. So that being said, we thank you so much. One love.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
So Black media, whether it's radio, newspaper, television, and the other multiple digital sources of media that exist, is very important to our movement, has been historically and always will be. It's the way in which we sound the trumpet for the culture and help folks to align their ideas and concepts. And so supporting Black media supports that. And to that point, everybody should be supporting our independent voices, wherein, we are determining for ourselves what the message is we want to promote our.
Uhuru. Hey, yo, thanks for supporting Black Power 96. Real music for real people making real revolution. All power to the Black community. African working class, stand up. Uhuru.
All right. Take it
Black
away,
Power
Mariah.
96. Oh, go ahead, Sandy. Go ahead.
No, you got the next slide.
Okay. Black Power 96 also serves our community with unique access to the world of media communications. And this station has provided free training and internships to over 50 local residents, ranging from high school students to senior citizens. And when you donate today to fund Black Power 96 Legal Fight Back, you are supporting economic development for the Black community.
That's right. So again, today, our goal tonight is to raise $2,000 towards Black Power 96's legal expenses to fund the federal lawsuit that the station and the African People's Education Defense Fund has filed, charging the Pinellas County Commission with violating the Black community's right to freedom of speech and freedom of association, and charging the commissioners with racial discrimination. So we are going to hear from a couple more of the Black Power 96 volunteers and community partners that we're really looking forward to. But first, we want to thank some of the donors who have donated so far and see where we are at with our goal. And I just want to do the first one, which is to thank MQ out of Gainesville, who has donated $10 tonight. But MQ is already a $25 a month sustainer, and you can become a sustaining member of Black Power 96 that gives the station a reliable monthly income, and that is really important. So thank you to Q.
Right, Sandy, and we have Lisa out of Minneapolis that donated $100.
All right, Lisa. And Comrade Dennis has pledged that he is going to put in $25. And Dennis, I think, is out of Battle Creek, I believe. Longtime friend and supporter of Black Power 96. Thank you, Dennis, also known as Sayero.
Okay, I see that Jesse out of St. Louis is pledged $50.
Jesse Neville, that's one of the Uhuru Three. Thank you, Chair Jesse, the chair of Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Thank you so much. And then Len, also, who I know is with the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, has contributed $10 today. Thank you, Len.
Okay, and we have Paul out of Frederick, $25, and this donation is inspired by the APSP and USM comrades I met at the Black and Black Coalition on November 4th. Uhuru.
All right. And then, oh wow, we have from Sarah in Minneapolis, a new monthly sustaining member who is going to be donating monthly to a total of $300 over the year. So that's $300 from Sarah. Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Okay. And we have Matum out of Philadelphia at $25 donated.
And then Allie out of Philadelphia, $50. Thank you, Allie.
And I want to thank Paulette out of Florida at $25.
And then Consuela, who we just saw, has contributed $100. Thank you so much, Consuela, for supporting the station.
And Janice at $25 with the support. Thank you.
And Serene, who is one of our friends from the Pacifica Network, who's been a